This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Look forward to hearing from you today on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app. It's presented by Happy State Bank. We'll have NFL football tonight as the Browns and Bengals play each other. Paul Brown used to be in charge of the Cleveland Browns, and they let him go. This is decades ago. And he moved to Cincinnati, and he was the head coach of the Bengals for quite some time. So there's a little historical background between these two teams, even though it goes way back to the 50s. But Paul Brown was a great coach, and I think he won an NFL championship with the Cleveland Browns way back in the day. This would be prior to the Super Bowl because the Browns have never played in a Super Bowl. I don't need to remind Risa of that, who's listening this morning and is a big Cleveland Brown fan. He coached and founded the Browns, winning NFL championships in 1950, 54, and 55, and then co-founded and coached the Cincinnati Bengals from 68 to 75. Okay?
All right.
So that's tonight on 100.7 The Score at 6:30, the kick after 7, and then we'll have the New Orleans Bowl tonight on Double T 97.3. So look forward to that if you're watching and listening to all the bowl games, and maybe you've got some skin in the game, so to speak, and you're rooting for teams that you haven't followed at all or never heard of, and it's okay. And maybe you just have some enjoyment purposes going on with that, and if you do, then good for you. It's Georgia Southern and Sam Houston tonight from the Superdome there in New Orleans.
Okay.
And Superdome, just so everybody, I mean, not that anybody really cares, but I've always found this interesting. Superdome is one word. It's not Superdome. It's Superdome. It's one word. Okay. So again, just something you may need to know that someday, Jamie. You may get asked a question on some kind of trivial show. They say, well, Superdome, can you spell that for me? Oh, yeah. You'll write, oh, yeah, Chuck said that. Superdome. 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 There you go. Last night in the LA Bowl, it was UNLV, the 24th ranked team in the country, winning over Cal 24-13. I thought maybe UNLV, because of coaching change and, drama and uproar and all that kind of stuff, would be distracted by this game. But nope.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah. And then
good for their coaching staff that they, got them together, got them lined up right, and found a way.
Yeah. And then Dolly's team, her husband's team, I guess I should say, James Madison, beat Western Kentucky 27-17. Okay. That was in the Boca Raton Bowl in Florida. Okay. So you got the New Orleans Bowl today, and then tomorrow you have the Cure Bowl, the Lubbock Cooper girls playing at Tascosa, and the boys playing Tascosa as well. That's your sports lineup on The Score tomorrow. And then we have the college football playoffs. Indiana at Notre Dame tomorrow night. 6:30 with a kick at 7. I almost wonder, like on Saturday, you'll have 3 games. SMU plays at 11 against Penn State, then Clemson, Texas at 3, and then Tennessee and Ohio State at 7. It'll be chilly Willy in Columbus, you would think, between those two 10-2 teams.
Sure.
So I almost wonder why they couldn't find a way to get, and see, that's the problem with having, I guess 2 of these games are on TNT on Saturday and one's on ABC, ESPN, and there's ESPN gave up a couple of those games to TNT, but they're producing them, and I think they're selling them all that kind of stuff. There was a court case involved in that ESPN kind of gave. This was part of that, of the NBA poaching by ESPN and ABC, that TNT, when they lost the NBA rights, they garnered some of these playoff games as a result of that. It's part of that.
Okay.
It's part of that agreement. I think after the fact.
All right.
That is a means of, hey, don't sue us. We'll give you these 2 games. And so that was, I think, part of that agreement. Here's my question for you. You've got another portal get yesterday, and we'll get to that. And you can keep track of all the portal's ins and outs right there at the top of the page at doubleTSportsNetwork.com. It's a real easy read, real easy for you to follow.
You got 2 yesterday, didn't you?
Okay. Yeah. It's hard to keep track.
I totally understand. Yes, a cornerback and an offensive tackle.
Okay, so my question is, so now you're up to like 15, right? So 15, 14, somewhere around those lines.
Okay.
Man, that's a pretty significant change in your roster and your makeup, and for all the talk about culture and things like that. I mean, you're going to have name tags to introduce everybody. Everybody, especially with all the new kids that are coming in, the high school kids that you signed in. You signed 16.
I think that's why they all have numbers.
Okay, and names on the back. Little piece of tape on the front of their helmet.
I don't know if they have names on the back of their practice jerseys.
Names on their helmet.
Yeah.
Usually, and I'll tell you, a guy that's really good about names is Joey McGuire. I don't know about all his coaches, but he's really good about names. But
names
anyway,
or nicknames?
I think names.
Names.
Yeah,
okay.
I think names. Yeah, I think names. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see how that all fits in, right?
Well, I think it's what we saw yesterday when you see guys deciding to head out, like Trey McAlpine. I mean, you got if when he said that the list was going to be 10 or 12 people long, and now it's past that.
Yeah.
You have to figure other guys are gonna have to leave.
But one of the guys that you got, and you pointed this out, so much for not getting another 5-star, because you got one yesterday with Purdue transfer Terrion Grant. He's a cornerback. He was ranked as a 5-star in the 25 class and then reclassified to 24. He had 13 tackles and one forced fumble this past season. He's got 3 years of eligibility left. That's the good news for him.
Yeah, the number 60 player in the country a year ago.
6'3", 197. Yeah, so that's high cotton right there. Mm-hmm. And then you also get an offensive tackle, Howard Sampson. He comes to you from North Carolina. I guess he didn't want to stick around there.
He is a Texan, though.
Okay, well, that's good.
Started his college career at North Texas.
Okay. So he's on number 3. Number 3! I wonder, the other thing I was wondering about the other day is, when these guys, and maybe it doesn't matter to anybody, 5-10 years from now, and they're, at their law firm or, selling stocks or just, schlepping beers somewhere, changing tires, whatever it is that they're doing, plumbing, hosting a radio show, and where'd you go to school? Well, I started it, and then but where do you consider home? Where do you consider #one of us? Maybe it doesn't matter to people anymore, or maybe it doesn't matter to these guys.
Maybe they would want that to have that, but there's something bigger than that, as we talked about yesterday.
Oh, the old financial
dollar bill, yeah. That's more important than being able to say this is my one place,
or this is my alma mater.
And I would think that wouldn't just be the answer for athletes. That would be the truth of it for most of us. You're gonna go where the money is.
Yeah, but it's like when you show your kids around. Hey, this is where we did this at this dorm, or hey, I went to class in this building, or that was the library. I never went inside it, but that's what it looks like. Or, here was my favorite bar, and it's now a clothing supply store. When
your former librarian wife is very disappointed in you that you didn't walk into the library. By the way,
I spent some time in the library.
You just said you never walked in there.
I'm talking
those
about
were your words.
Somebody else. I didn't say me. Somebody else. But she's fast asleep still, so it's all good. 6:25 this morning here on the Morning Drive.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Joey McGuire scheduled a visit with the media today and answer their preguntas, or our preguntas. So we'll see if he gives us an update on Taj Brooks or maybe anybody else that may or may not be playing that is expected to play. I mean, maybe there's somebody that's been dinged up and injured that is going to get a chance to play that hadn't been able to play. Bryce Rodriguez would be one of those guys, but he may be
Ramirez?
Bryce Ramirez, yeah. Yeah, Bryce Ramirez, yeah. But he may be one of those guys that, he had that infection in his leg and had a piece of metal taken out from the, injury a couple years ago against South Carolina and
North Carolina State.
North Carolina State, right? Oh man,
when did we play South Carolina?
We did not. We played North Carolina State. So swing and a miss. Should I go for 3? I'm going to take a pitch here.
I don't know.
I'm going to take a pitch.
I might pinch hit at this point.
I'm going to take a pitch. That's what I get for thinking off the top. I told you my thinker has been kind of off here lately for some reason. My memory has been a little off. Maybe I need to drink more chocolate milk. I haven't had any chocolate milk in quite some time. Maybe I need to get a quart and just stick it in the refrigerator. That seems to help me. Go in, get a swig, put it back in the refrigerator. Go back later, get a swig, put it back in the refrigerator. I can assure you nobody's touching the chocolate milk because they know that I've taken a swig right out of the carton. There ain't nothing better than that. Curious about JT Toppin, too, with regard to Saturday as Texas Tech takes on Lamar. I think we see him a little bit. We may not see him a whole lot. I mean, I'm just guessing here, but I think we see him just a little bit.
Step in the right direction.
How about the softball team, man? That's unbelievable, awesome news, right? With regard to selling out their season tickets. I mean, granted, you got the number 1 pitcher in the country and other people. Yeah, and player, right? You got that too. Coming here to Lubbock, and she's here, and I think that as a result of that, you've been able to improve your team. She's
not the only one. You've added significant others in the portal as well.
Yeah, so they have set up high expectations for everybody, right?
I think that would be an understatement.
Are we already sowing the flag to put it up on the pole over there? But hopefully not.
I think you're somewhat joking, but I think there's.
I'm joking, but not really.
The lowest of is make the postseason. It feels like you have to be at least hosting a regional for softball.
Yeah.
We all know how softball can be dominated by one player.
Sure.
And you just bought the best player in the land.
Yeah.
Yeah. The national player of the year.
Right.
Who plays a position where you can dominate a game.
And you can, because of the style of how the pitcher, you don't have to have 3 or 4 days rest in between pitches.
In a sport where probably the highest paid NIL deal was 15 or 20,000, you paid 1.2 million.
We're just flush with cash around this place, aren't we? It's kind of crazy, isn't it? It's not kind of crazy. I think it is.
Well, it's great that we have donors and
people that are willing to step up,
and alums that are willing to help out.
No question about it.
That's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
We've talked over the years of Oklahoma State always having great things because of Boone Pickens, and we're allowed to have some too.
Yeah, we're always wondering where's our Boone Pickens. The good news for us is our Boone Pickens is a hell of a lot younger than Boone Pickens. So the chances.
Yeah, he's not the only one. Clearly
No,
this guy didn't buy the softball pitcher, and he didn't build the basketball training facility and all the above.
And the football part of it too.
Yeah, so we've got more than one.
We do. We have more than one. But man, it sure is nice to have them for the coming year and years too. And now all you have to do is win, Jamie. All you have to do now is win. Just just win.
And the expectations are high. Let me just early Jamie's question of the day. I mean, what do you feel like the expectations should be for football season next year?
Play for a Big 12 championship.
I mean, it feels like you have to be in the top 4 in the conference, right? I mean, at the lowest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is dependent on what other teams are and what they do as well.
Sure.
But, man, I don't know how we can sit here today and see what you're doing and look at it and go, yeah, if you improved on, if you got back to 8-4 and we finished 5th, I feel like that's good. I mean, that's another 8-4 year. Those are hard to come by. All the above.
No,
I don't know, man.
I don't either. I mean,
it was a 8-4 happy, but 8-4 a little bit disappointed this year.
Yeah.
You go 8-4 again next year.
Yeah.
Man, it feels like it's got to be like a 10-2.
Yeah. Brady Quinn about an hour ago on Two Pros and a Cup of Joe on Double T 97.3 was talking about the Penn State and SMU game coming up, and he said he called SMU an NIL team, and I kind of, as I was getting ready for work, kind of stood there and thought to myself, well, it's like, what do they call C students that graduate from med school? They call them doctor. What do they call SMU? You can call them an NIL team all you want, but they're a playoff team. They're playing on Saturday. Mm-hmm. They win on Saturday, they move on, and they're in the hunt for playing for a national championship. So, I'd love for us to be in the same boat next year. You can call us an NIL team all you want, but at the end of the day, we've cobbled it together and figured it out and put a team together. And
it doesn't feel like there's any cobbling at all.
Well, sometimes you have to cobble on the field to cobble it together in the field a little bit, because you have to overcome the.
I don't think anybody's looking for coins in their couch. Bring these guys in.
What I meant by that was, the actual play on the field. Sometimes you have to cobble it together, no matter how good your team is. You have to overcome turnovers or injuries or penalties or mistakes, whether they're coaching decisions or player decisions. And but yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think bare minimum right now, you got to play for a Big 12 championship, based on what we have seen in this over the last 10 days, maybe even less. The team that you're putting together for next year, I realize that's a pretty high marker, but I'm sure the persons that have been writing those checks feel the same way.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. We'll hear from Joey McGuire today at 1:30, get his take on the Liberty Bowl and the opponent, and maybe he might have some thoughts on this portal situation of timing. He may have an opinion on that. It's gone swimmingly for him, so he may be like, hey, this seems like a great time of year to do it. But it seems disruptive, though.
Yeah, and don't you really hate it for the kids that are in the... I mean, I don't hate it. It's not like it's the worst situation. There are much worse situations to be in. But
Sure.
These young men that are on a team that are in the playoffs, and they know that there are only so many spots available for them elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And so they want to be in the portal because, let's say, they're not playing much and they realize that the writing's on the wall. But at the same time, they want to help their team compete for a national championship. Yeah. It's just a tough spot for them to be in.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. It would be like a coach in that situation that had already accepted another job elsewhere. And but hey, stay in coach. And we see that every once in a while, but it's got to be just really different.
Yeah. No, we have. I mean, you do have a Penn State quarterback who has put himself in the portal, and
SMU quarterback in the portal too. And
James Franklin, he defended his backup quarterback, Bo Prabula, who has entered the portal and will leave the team before the college football playoffs, saying we've got problems in college football, and that that young man should not be put in this position.
I completely agree.
Your exact point that you made. He said the timing of the open transfer portal, which overlaps college football preparation and game, creates urgency for quarterbacks to make their transfer decisions and creates an untenable situation. Yeah. And he said this. He goes, "This situation has forced me into an impossible decision." He did have a role in Penn State's offense behind the starter, but he had informed the starting quarterback informed Penn State's coaches that he was going to return for the 2025 season. So the other guy's like, "Well, hey, I'm not going to get to play here, so I need to move on. And in order for me to make a decision to move on to someplace else, then I gotta do it now." So he's in a tough pickle right there. But that's kind of just the way it is. I want to shift gears just for a second because I think you guys will enjoy this story because of who the person it involves in and what he had to say. Green Bay, coached by Doug Gottlieb, lost at home last night, 72-70, to Michigan Tech. They're a Division II school. And this game, again...
Was it last night or the night before that they lost to them?
This article says to me last night.
Okay.
Wednesday. So Green Bay falls to 2-11 under Doug Gottlieb. The Phoenix, that's the name of their team, have lost their last 8 games, including 9 of their last 10, following a loss to a program Gottlieb referred to as Nobody U just a few days ago. He said, "Part of the reason I want to play better teams is it's 2 degrees and snowing outside." He said, seemingly referring to Michigan Tech after Green Bay's loss to Milwaukee last week. "I don't really like the idea of Nobody U coming in here. What do we learn from a game that we win by 20? There's a methodology to it, and I'm going to have to adjust moving forward." The Phoenix finished the 23-24 season 18-24 under their first-year coach, Sundance Wicks, who I think is the son of Sidney Wicks.
Okay.
Anyway, so Nobody U won. I mean...
Oh, no.
Anyway. I just kind of look at, I guess you think about...
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. I'm going to double check about...
I think this game happened Tuesday night, and the story is from Wednesday morning because I remember hearing about this yesterday.
Okay, so my apologies then, because the way that it was written made it seem like it was. I don't believe Sundance Wicks is.
I mean, we can just go back to this year's football season, and we were talking about how
he's not the son of Sidney Wicks. He's not. So anyway,
who is Sidney Wicks?
He was an NBA
basketball player?
Yeah, basketball player, yeah. Pretty sure. Now I'm questioning myself on that. Again, I need to get some chocolate milk in me. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
I think Sidney Wicks is a name that sounds familiar to me. That sounds like an NBA player.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much before my time, though.
Yeah, he is a former...
When years did he play?
He was drafted in 1971, which is going to be in my wheelhouse. Yeah, he played on the UCLA national championship teams. Yeah. Well, played for the Trailblazers. He's a really good player. Sorry.
Moments passed.
You know who you sound like right there? I mean, unfortunately, you're not the only one I do this to. And, talk over, interrupt, and somebody else in my life will say, "No, the moment's passed. It's too
Laura.
That sounds like Mrs. Heinz.
It's too late. It's too late.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
No, really, no." And then she'll do what you did. Just you'll go silent. She'll go silent, and then I'll feel bad for a few moments.
For a few moments. Don't worry, Jeff. He'll get over it.
Yeah, that moment's passed too.
Yeah.
But with regard to Doug Gottlieb, anytime any kind of trouble happens to him, it just feels right. I just can't stand that guy.
Yeah, he's a lot dislikable.
Yeah,
and he still hosts his radio show.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, because
it's like Deion Sanders and his new television show he's hosting.
They couldn't pay him enough to be the head coach at Green Bay. I bet you Oklahoma State looks at that and goes, "See, to those boosters, the few that wanted Doug Gottlieb to be the head coach at Oklahoma State. See, this is why he's not a Division I, Power 4 Big 12 basketball coach at a school that used to have a storied program, that would like to have a storied program again. And they did a couple of times. They had storied programs. But they just haven't been able. It just goes to show you how hard it is to either build up your basketball program or to sustain it or to rebuild it after it burns to the ground.
Right, you got to get the right guy in charge, right? And that feels like Oklahoma State hasn't found the right guy, in recent attempts.
Attempts. That's right. There's no question about it. They have struggled to find the right guy to lead their basketball program, and sometimes you kind of forget, man, you had it really, really good.
Yeah, it used to be an awesome basketball program.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I was thinking about this the other day. I was in Fayetteville with the Lady Raider basketball team, and they practiced at the practice facility for Arkansas because Bud Walton Arena was being used for graduation. And at Arkansas, and justifiably and rightly so, for all the greatness that they've had there. And remember, Nolan Richardson won a national championship there, and the court is named after him. But the practice facility is named after, the practice court area is named after Eddie Sutton.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great career there. He had a great career at Kentucky, and then did it at Oklahoma State as well. It just goes to show you how terrific a basketball coach he was, and how people think of him even to this day. That Arkansas chose to name, their basketball men's area after Eddie Sutton. I thought that was pretty cool. 7:25 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Jamie's question of the day is next.
This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, so we don't know the specific schedule for the Red Raider football team next year as far as what days, what dates you play what teams.
At least the Big 12 side.
Correct. You do for your 3 non-conference games, okay? So we know who you're playing, home or away, but we don't know on what dates. We can assume they're all going to be Saturdays. That's an assumption.
Well, there may be a Thursday night game.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay, so you have Arkansas Pine Bluff at home, Kent State at home, Oregon State at home to start your season in that order. Beyond that, you have road game Arizona State, road game Houston, road game Kansas State, road game Utah, road game West Virginia, home game BYU Oklahoma State, Kansas, and UCF. I want you to tell me the 3 toughest games in order that you think they will have for next year.
Okay. Because I'll be honest, I don't know who's coming back for whom, but I'm just going to tell you what I think. K-State, I'm just going to tell you that's a loss right now. I'm going to predict a loss right now. Arizona State, that's a loss right now. And so the other third toughest game for me is, I think, playing at West Virginia because depending on when that game is and what they have to play for, it's a raucous environment. It's a long trip. So I'm not going to declare it a loss like I am the other two, but that will be the third toughest game, in my opinion, that you'll play this year. So all 3 of mine are road games.
Okay. Give me the order.
K-State, Arizona State, West Virginia.
Man, I'm so torn.
I have a feeling you're going to agree with me on the number one because
I'm trying really hard not to. I'm trying to take my bias that I never want to see Kansas State on the schedule again, because you always shoot yourself in the foot against them. Like, you could take in the 1993 Dallas Cowboys into their stadium in their prime with Emmitt Smith and Eggman and the whole crew.
You take 71 Cowboys in there too.
Yeah, and lose by 5. Like, that's how that works. Arizona State 1. BYU 2. Kansas State 3.
Okay. Does Cam Scadaboo have another year left? I know he's listed as a senior, but I don't know how these things work anymore.
I don't know that anybody knows how they work anymore, Jamie.
I don't believe that he does, but
Okay. I don't think he does either, but I'm trying to double check, and it says senior, and I don't know whether to take that as he can't play another or he's got his super senior season left. I don't know. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm pretty much in line with you guys. I think Kansas State's number one. It's just no matter who the each and every year it's always tough to win there. Okay, I think I'm going to put Arizona State 2. Okay, but I still feel like that's a very winnable game for you. I feel like Arizona State without Scadaboo is going to be a completely different football team. You probably could say the same thing about the Red Raiders.
Mm-hmm. Without
Tosh Brooks.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably fair to say. But Scadaboo is a stud. He's a difference maker, no doubt.
He's played 4 years.
So
he's done. He didn't play during the COVID year, so he's played.
Did he play 4 games in one of those years?
Yes, he did.
Less than 4? Or
no, he
4?
played more. He played more than 4.
Okay, so he played 4 full years.
Yes.
Okay, so he's done.
We think.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, he's done.
No.
Or any of those junior college years.
No.
That's probably a subject we need to get into today.
Yeah, I have that in my brain here.
Yeah.
Has the NCAA?
Okay.
No, I mean I really did.
All right.
Scadaboo played just so you know, 11 games in 21, 13 games in 22, 12 games in 23, and 12 games in 24.
Feels like a guy whose eligibility is expired, but I don't know.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there were 2 seasons there. He didn't play a 13th game. That's a missed opportunity for him to make NIL money, so he needs another season of eligibility.
He's going to sue the NCAA, and they're going to just say, "Oh, sure, Mr. Scadaboo, have 3 more years."
Yes. Well, the NCAA is not going to. It's Congress or,
I was making tongue-in-cheek on that,
lawyer.
and somebody had already put that on the chat line. That's funny. Not really, but that is.
Yeah. All right. The third team for me, I just have a hard time thinking that Utah's not going to get a lot better than they were this year. So I'm putting Utah on the list as the third toughest game for me.
Mm-hmm.
How far has Oklahoma State fallen? Because if we'd asked the same question 2 years ago, Oklahoma State would be on all of our top 3.
Yeah, and they definitely had some key injuries on their defense, and they got a really good young quarterback coming back. So,
but you're playing them at home. I mean,
yeah, that definitely factors in. Absolutely.
Might I remind you of the 66-6 game?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that.
You didn't need to.
I'm just saying.
Dancing Ginger still in your head too?
The scoreboard saying 666 is what's burned into my brain.
I mean, when you think of the 66-6, what are the things that pop into your mind?
In order, the high stepping into the not scoring an offensive touchdown, the scoreboard, the score,
not even being able to make an extra point,
right?
Yeah,
and the scoreboard reading 666.
I think of fumbling a kickoff that they recovered in the end zone for a touchdown, where 2 different guys fumbled it. Where one guy muffed it, another guy picked it up, got hit, fumbled it. I mean, it was just Keystone Cops. Yeah. I remember that. I remember the scoop and score, and that you didn't score an offensive touchdown, and then you missed the extra point. And I think it was actually...
I thought you went for 2.
I think it was early that you missed the extra point. I don't think it was a blowout at the time, but maybe I'm wrong. You can look, Jeff. I don't remember. I tried to block it out.
And I don't want to look at
And
this
then I
game.
remember Doofus dancing. And it being embarrassing.
Yeah. Beyond embarrassing.
Look at me moment. Look at me. Please make a GIF of me. Please put me on social media. Look at me.
7:40 this morning here on the Morning Drive.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
of Good Morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Tomorrow we've got a bowl game and 2 basketball games for you, and then a bowl game. So tomorrow it's the Cure Bowl at 11 on 100.7 The Score. And then Lubbock Cooper girls and the boys play at Tascosa with coverage beginning at 4. And then tomorrow night we'll have a college football playoff game with Indiana at Notre Dame. That'll be at 6:30 here on Double T 97.3. And Saturday we've got basketball, football. We'll have Texas Tech and Lamar. That'll be at 11 on Double T 97.3. And then we'll have SMU and Penn State from State College on 100.7 The Score. We have the Ravens entertaining the Pittsburgh Steelers at 3. And Saturday NFL action in December. God, that's great. And they'll have Clemson at Texas in the college football playoff at 3. And then later on, it'll have Tennessee at Ohio State in the college football playoff. Aside from Tech and Lamar, Jamie, what one game would you watch on Saturday? Of the 3 college football games, or would you watch the NFL game?
I would watch Clemson and Texas.
Clemson and Texas. Okay. Yep. All right. Here's a name for you that may make some history. His name is Diego Pavia. Mr. Pavia has been the quarterback at Vanderbilt. Okay.
And New Mexico State.
And New Mexico Military Institute. He played 2 seasons at NMI and 2 seasons at New Mexico State, and this past season at Vandy.
That's 5.
Yeah, that's 5. And guess what?
He wants more.
He wants one more, and guess what?
But does he really want more football, or does he just want more money?
Well, sure, because I don't know what kind of degree Mr. Pavia has from all his institutions that he's been at, what he's been able to cobble together between New Mexico Military Institute, New Mexico State, and Vanderbilt, even though I'm sure graduating from Vanderbilt brings you some prestige. But being the Vanderbilt quarterback this coming year, or a quarterback for somebody, could pay him $1 million. And I don't think anybody out there is offering any college graduate $1 million opportunity that's not sports related.
I bet there are.
I don't know.
None?
None. No, there's no cellist. There's no singer. There's no mathematician. There's no scientist. There's no veterinarian. There's no cardiologist. There's no name anybody with an undergrad degree coming out of school. Year 1 is not. Nobody's making $1 million. Nobody.
Okay. I didn't know if there was some crazy business thing or something.
I'm sure there probably is somewhere, and somebody's going to say, well, hey, my cousin Eddie, he, became a stockbroker and nailed the big, elephant there in New York, and his commission was $1 million and one, Chuck, so there. Watch. That'll happen on the chat line.
Cousin Eddie.
Cousin Eddie. Mr. Pavia argued in a court of law that the NCAA should not be allowed to count his time at New Mexico Military Institute, since New Mexico Military Institute is not an NCAA institution. While not a binding ruling, the judge did not disagree. He wrote yesterday that the NCAA's argument for counting junior college years towards an athletics eligibility clock falls flat.
This is 100% about NIL, and it has nothing to do with him wanting to play more football or get more education.
Get more education. That's exactly right.
They sued, claiming, quote, NCAA eligibility is a violation of the antitrust law that unfairly limits his ability to make money from his name, image, and likeness. They don't care whether he can play another year. They don't care whether he can get another year of college paid for. It is 100% about it is another year for him to make NIL.
Mm-hmm.
What a joke show. And, here's my frustration is we all criticize the NCAA, deservedly so. This is an NCAA rule, okay? that junior college years count.
Yeah, right.
It's not the NCAA that's backing down here. I mean, it's a judge.
Yeah, it's a judge.
It's keeping the NCAA from following their rules.
And I hope the NCAA countersues this.
Okay, here's the deal. I mean, it's not a final ruling on the case, all right? Mm-hmm. But what it does do is it keeps the NCAA from keeping him from playing next year until the case is resolved.
Yeah.
So let's get after this case. This is ridiculous.
Because now what are you going to have? You're going to have everybody that's played, everybody that's played junior college football or basketball, or any sport for that matter, is going to go back and say, hey, I want my 2 years back.
Yeah, that cost me money.
Or it costs, whatever it costs you. I mean, you could have, baseball players or basketball players or other football players.
Because we've set the precedent where you can go back, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, we basically went back and told, I'm forgetting his name now, the USC running back, Reggie Bush, you know what, we're going to give you everything back because it's not a rule anymore.
Right.
Okay? We're not going to punish you for cheating because it's not cheating anymore. Okay? So, I mean, if this goes through, every player that ever played in junior college would have more eligibility remaining.
Yeah.
This is so dumb.
Everybody's going to be
so dumb. We talk about you and I have had conversations before when we see terrible children, right? Mm-hmm. And like we talk about this era of students or this era of children of 18 to 20-year-olds. And what do I always say to you, Chuck? Who raised them?
Yeah.
Who raised them? Mm-hmm. We did. Okay? We as adults raised these kids. That's the problem. The kids are allowed to get away with stuff because we as adults have done a terrible job being parents and been a terrible job of being leaders to these young men and young women, okay? And
we don't want to tell anybody no. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
I'm not mad at this Yahoo from Vanderbilt here. I'm mad at Judge William Campbell. Mm-hmm. Okay? Are you just absolutely clueless? There are rules in place for a reason. I mean, and this is dumb. And I mean, he's just getting away with what he can get away with.
Yeah. And it's what's interesting, and Kobe points this out, and it's in this article too on footballscoop.com. Apparently his lawyers after the ruling said he's excited to return to Vandy provided he gets an appropriate NIL package. And then he cites, and the fact that Coach Jerry Kill and Tim Beck will be there. I mean, Jerry Kill has been. Here's the deal on Jerry Kill, and I don't know him. He's an older guy. I think he's about my age. His health is always poor, and wherever he goes, he does coach well. But then at some point in time, he has some kind of health ailment, and then can't coach again. I didn't even know that Jerry Kill was still coaching. He has been a million different places.
His lawyer says that junior college seasons shouldn't be counted because they have no meaningful opportunities to earn NIL in junior college or television exposure. Okay, well then be better and get to Division I. Yeah. Either be better or make the grades so you are in Division I. Because you may have been talented enough to be in Division I to start, but you didn't have the grades to be in Division I.
Right. Or he may have gone there to get
so
better.
So this is not a, oh man, he deserves the extra years of playing. This is he deserves more money. Mm-hmm. We want to give him more money. Yeah. Oh, I'm happy to come back to Vanderbilt as long as I get a good NIL deal. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, this kid is taking what he can get. Judge William Campbell, you are a buffoon. You're an absolute idiot.
Yeah.
And the way our country works right now, the way we just continue to bend over backwards, everything. It's so dumb. We are completely losing control. Somebody have the guts to stand up to a student athlete. Is that too much to ask?
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.